So we'll start with some balance. So we're going to start on my left leg. Left leg is super duper straight. My right foot is going to come on top of the left, and we're going to catch the elbows behind the back. Shoulders are going to reach down away from the ears. Your hips shift back into your heels, so maybe your toes lift. And then you'll start taking some big voluminous inhales here. If you're in the Netherlands, we're just kind of getting our Friday kicked off. If you're watching this later, maybe this is the end of the day. And so whatever you've been doing throughout the day, just see if you can slow down and focus your attention on your body. So you'll fixate your eyes on a point across the room and crush it with your attention. For an added little bonus, you can try lifting your toes off the ground. And so balance is having your center of gravity over your footprint. And so if we lessen the footprint, say by lifting the toes, you'll notice that it's much more challenging to stay upright. And so if this is easy for you, you can always spice up a little balance by lifting the toes. Good. Now we're going to catch this right knee. Left leg stays super duper bent. And the tendency is to shift your hips forward, but you want to try to, again, leave your hips over, the weight of your hips over your heels. So you'll feel your lower back turn on. And if this is too challenging, you can do all of this stuff over by a wall, or you can always bring your right foot back on top of the left. And so the reason why we like to start these classes in balance is because, first of all, it gets you in tune with your body and gets you kind of grounded in your body and gets you to slow down a little bit. Good. So we'll shake out of that, roll out the ankle, and then we'll repeat on the right side. So I realize, excuse me, this looks a little bit backwards, so if you just listen to my voice versus watching me, you'll stay on the right foot, but if you're on the opposite, that's totally okay. So right leg is parallel with long edge of the mat. The left foot comes on top. Catch the arms behind the back. Hips shift back into the heels. And so one reason why we start with balance is to get you grounded and get you connected to your body. But another really important reason we focus on balance is because it's really important to make sure we have the brain-foot connection strong, especially as we age. If you imagine having a 12-pound or 5-kilo watermelon, and if you dropped it from head height, what do you think would happen? It would explode. And so that is essentially your skull if you can't keep your body upright. And so, especially as we age, we're not as agile unless we work at it. And so this is why we work on our balance to prevent any trips or falls. So go ahead and catch this this left knee. Shoulders reach down away from the ears, re-straighten that standing leg, hips shift back into the heels. You can roll out that ankle, you may feel the cookage from the first side. And here, try lifting up the toes, so we're lessening the footprint. Notice how that changes the stretch. By now, your ankles start to cook, and if your legs are super duper straight the entire time, you should feel it all the way up into your glutes. In the beginning, if this is new to stuff, do as much as you can. A lot of us are not used to carrying this much, 100% of our body weight on one foot. So if you need to come out and take a break, feel free. But we do try to spend a couple minutes each day on one foot to improve our balance. Good. So we'll shake out of that. And I'm going to step close to the wall. Since you guys are more than likely on your cell phones, I'm going to do a little wall work today. And so this is our standard shoulder stretch. So our right hand, I'm going to start with my right hand on the wall, right hand finger point up. The palm is about shoulder height. Then you're going to twist the fingers back behind you. So this is what it'll look like on the wall. You can take the left hand, catch it behind your back so you're in a natural curve of the spine. And then without bending your elbow, you're going to slowly walk your feet towards the center of the room, so away from the wall. So here for the standard shoulder stretch, it'll feel very sensational. Typically, we spend our days hunched over a computer, so our arms are internally rotated and by our ears. And here we're trying to keep the shoulder down away from the ear, creating space between the ear and the shoulder, keeping the elbow straight, and then externally rotating the arm. We're opening up the front of the shoulder. And so just take a couple inhales here. If it's too intense, you can always back off by walking your feet closer to the wall. But in this style, we do like to play on the edge of discomfort. And the reason why we do that is because comfortable is slouching. Comfortable is, is what's causing pain in your body. And so all the stuff we do in this class, while not comfortable, will lead to a more comfortable body, a healthier body. So now I want you to press your fingertips, all 5 fingertips, into the wall. Try to poke holes into the wall. If anything's open up, you can walk those feet towards the center of the room. Take some big inhales, feel what's going on in your shoulder this morning. Maybe this is the first time you've ever done this pose. If so, that's fantastic. Hopefully this will be your new favorite shoulder opener. Good. And now instead of punching holes in the wall, I want you to imagine I'm trying to slide a piece of paper underneath the fingertips. So you're going to flex, or rather extend your fingers off of the wall, creating space between your fingerprints and the wall. If your elbow is bent, straighten it and back off if necessary. Last couple deep inhales here. Step away from the wall, shake out the arms. Close your eyes here. You're at home, nobody can see you, nobody's judging you. But close your eyes and see if you can sense the difference in your arms. Does one arm feel more alive, a little bit more open? We want you in this style, especially to get really connected to the sensations of your body. There are a lot, and sometimes we tend to try to minimize those. But in this style, we really want you to feel everything. So take a look at your palms. There may be a significant coloration difference because we just opened up that line to the shoulder and allowing the blood flow. So now we'll repeat on the other side. So my left palm is on the wall, about shoulder height. Right hand comes behind the back, creating a nice natural curve in the spine. And our fingers are going to point back behind us. So again, you're looking like this on the wall. And then start to breathe here. Notice if this side feels a little bit different than the other side. Depending on what hand is your dominant hand, you'll notice, or the dominant side of your body even, you'll notice some differences as we move through a bunch of these poses. So shoulder reaches down away from the ear, creating a nice long neck. And then as things begin to open up, you can walk your feet, so twisting your body towards the center of the room. And as you do this, your eyebrows might start to lift. You might start to, make a little face. And if it's too intense, back off for sure, especially if this is your first time doing it. But I promise you, this is what having healthy shoulders feels like, is doing this work. If you're young, I really didn't start feeling this stuff until I was about 2 years in the corporate world. And so I've always been fairly active in dance, working out, whatever. But 2 years after sitting in a desk for, 50, 60 hours a week, I definitely started to take a toll on my body. So no matter where you are, whether you're 20s, 60s, you can dramatically improve the health of your body by doing some of this stuff. So now we're going to press the fingertips into the wall. You can play with gently moving your body, twisting your body towards the middle. If it's too intense, to just stay in one position. But notice by just how pressing your fingertips in a wall, it changes the stretch, it deepens the stretch. Make sure you're breathing. And now, instead of pressing the fingertips, you're going to try to lift the fingerprints away from the wall. So super extending the hand. Ooh. Notice how that changes the stretch. Ooh, shake that out. Step away from the wall, shake out the hands, shake out the arms. Close your eyes, let your arms be super duper heavy. So no robot arms, but you want to let the weight of your arms pull the bones away from the shoulders. You can make the way back onto the mat. And now we'll come into back traction. So heel of the palms meet the hip creases. Your feet are hip width distance and parallel, which if you have a block, that's about a block in its second widest dimension. And if not, it's about 2 fists. So palms and the heel of the palms and the hip creases. You want to imagine like you're sitting back in a chair. And so I talked earlier about this 12-pound or 5-kilo bowling ball that's constantly pressing down on your spine. And so now we're using the arms, the length of the arms, arm bones, to decompress the vertebrae. So we're trying to create space in the vertebrae. And we do that by trying to sit back into a chair, straighten the arms, and relax the belly towards the floor. So creating any bit of length that we can. And if this is your first time doing it, when it was my first time doing it, this is about as far as I could go. So this stuff takes time, months, years even. So be sweet to yourself. It won't necessarily look like this the first time, but I want you to kind of sense what it may feel like so you can start to explore these poses. So now we'll come down, we'll do back traction again, but this is for our extra long armed friends. So my elbows are above the knees. There's a definite bend in the knees. We don't want to straighten the legs because most of us, our hamstrings are not that open. So elbows above the knees, head hangs. You want your hips to be higher than your head. And so now, instead of using our arms to kind of force the vertebrae apart, we're letting this bowling ball and with the help of gravity pull each vertebrae apart. So here you can let the head hang heavy, take as much bend in the knees as you need, and then take top of the head. Start to take some inhales. Maybe while we were doing the shoulder work, you were in such an intense sensation that you forgot to breathe. Let's see if we can catch up on all those inhales here. Good. I'll step back into down dog. And so down dog, the way that we like to teach it is your pinkies are off the edge of the mat. So you're a little bit wider stance. Let's see, a little bit wider stance. Your shoulders drop down away from the ears, and you're trying to externally rotate your arms. So you want the soft part of your elbow, instead of pointing to each other, you're fighting to get it up towards the ceiling. So really active shoulders. You can have as much bend in the knees if you need. Again, we want to keep this out of the hamstrings. And then you want to imagine you have a big, fluffy, golden retriever tail that you're trying to reach up towards the ceiling. Let me shift to the side. So sometimes in the standard yoga practice, they ask you to have your hands a little bit closer together and look down at your feet. But essentially, this is just the way we spend most of our day in a slouch. And so that's why we try to keep this natural curve in the spine, turn on all the spinal extensors, and have really active shoulders. So the shoulders reach down away from the ears, but also across the back. So you have wide shoulders. So a really strong base here. Take out the legs. If this is your first time doing down dog, especially in this way, it's going to be a lot more challenging. So we won't spend too much time there today. So we're going to come into toe torture. And so what that is the pads of the toes are flat on the ground. And for some, you could sit here all day. And for some who haven't spent a lot of time in this position, this is excruciating. So at any point, you can always come out, flatten the feet. For others, this may be excruciating. So be sweet to yourself, especially if you're starting out, if this is, new to your practice. But I invite you to spend a little bit of time here because this is what having healthy feet feels like. There should be no pain in the knees. If there's pain in the knees, you can sit on a block or a book or a pillow. If there's pain here, you can sit up or come to another seated position. But as I mentioned, in this style, we're focused on creating a little bit of discomfort in class because that's what's helping your body, helping your muscles, your joints, everything become more healthy. But be sweet to yourself. So let's do some stuff for the hands because everyone's got those and we tend to ignore them. So we're going to come forward into hands and knees. We're going to do a little bit of strengthening work. So we're going to do fingertip push-ups. And so what that looks like is the fingerprints stay firmly into the mat and we're just squeezing the bottom of the hand and lifting the fingers and the palm off the ground. So you're making little teepee hands or little spider hands. Or we're just going to shift backwards and forwards, fighting to keep the fingerprints in the exact same spot. You don't want to move the thumb in. So wherever your palm is spread on the floor, that's where you're going to keep it. And you want to squeeze these two muscles here. So imagine you've got a €1 coin or a 1 nickel coin, and you're squeezing those two muscles together. So super active hands. You want to try and reach the belly button towards the floor. And so creating that natural curve in the spine. But then you also want to keep the abdominals engaged. So you're reaching your back towards the floor, but you're also trying to reach your belly button towards the inside of your spine. So shoop, can't really see it with this top, but you're keeping an active and engaged abdominal muscles. Good. And we're going to sit back into toe torture. Remember to use the blocks if you need it. And now we're going to stretch all that out. So we're going to start with fists. And fists are your thumb's going to be in front of the forefingers. So make 2 fists. You're going to set the knuckles down in front of your knees. And slowly and gently, you're going to roll your wrists forward. So we are super flexing the wrists here. And so you may notice when you get your wrist to the ground, your hands open up, your fists open up. But I want you to fight to keep the wrists or the fists tight. And this will feel very, very weak in the beginning. Maybe you can't at all, but what we're working at is the fight to do so. And so here we're strengthening the hands and decompressing parts of the wrist. And then if you're able, you can start to sit your hips back, get a little bit deeper angle here. Squeezing. Imagine you've got a lump of coal in each fist, and if you squeeze really hard and you apply a lot of pressure, you can get a diamond out of it. So squeezing, squeezing. Now try to your elbows, the soft part of your elbows may be facing one another, and try to roll them forward. So we're trying to externally rotate the arm bones here. Good. Sit back on the heels, shake it out of that. Whew. May feel like I've broken your hands, and I didn't because I'm here. But this, I promise they'll feel stronger tomorrow. So this is just because we're not used to doing this stuff. And it may help if you are on a yoga mat to have a little bit more padding. I'm using like a little placemat type mat. But yeah, please use something padding, especially if you're not used to this stuff. All right, so now we're going to do the complete opposite. You were just in flexion of the wrist, and now we're going to extend it. So your hands spin back behind you, so the soft part of your elbows face forward. Your fingers come towards your knees. Elbows stay straight here. And you can have them come out a little bit wider, so there's space for your chest. And we're going to sit back on our heels. Shoulders again down away from the ears, belly button reaches towards the floor. And then notice all the sensations here in your arms, in your forearms. Start to take some smooth, deep inhales. You can tick-tock the neck here, get a nice neck stretch. So here we're kind of in a passive position. So let's make it a little more active. So all we're going to do is press our fingertips into the ground. So we're trying to grip the ground or poke holes into our mats. And notice how that deepens the stretch, how it changes the stretch. Yikes, your eyebrows may raise. Let's see if you can just breathe through the sensations. Again, this is what having healthy joints, healthy body feels like. If you're a beginner, definitely ease off of it. Don't need to hold it as long. But just work at this stuff little by day. Take one thing you've learned in the class and then utilize it. Maybe one day a week until your body starts getting used to the motions. Good. All right, so just like we did on the wall, instead of pressing your fingertips in, you want to flex your fingertips away from the mat. So like I was sliding a piece of paper underneath your fingertips. Last deep inhale here. Good. All right, shake out of that. Okay. All right, so let's do a little bit more for the spine. So this last one is called Favorite Twist from Sitting, and this is one of my personal favorites. So you're going to start in reading pose. Your forearms are parallel, your elbows are underneath the shoulders, shoulders reach down away from the ears. And we'll just hang out here for a few breaths. And so this particular pose is a really low impact back bend. It's safe and effective for everybody, especially those new to yoga. And so if you experience any back pain, pain from herniated discs, this is a really helpful way to, or a helpful pose for spinal mobility. See if you can relax the belly towards the ground. When we are professional sitters, the tendency is to, accompanied with head forward posture, our slouch makes the front line of our body, the interior side, much stronger. So for some, they feel it in the abdominal muscles because they're so tight. And so in this pose, we want to allow them to kind of relax here, as well as working on that back bend. So now we're gonna roll to the right side. So I'm on my right hip. It may look backwards for you, but find way to your right side. Your right leg is gonna come forward, so your thigh or your quad is parallel with the short edge of the mat. Then your left knee is gonna come in the the arch of the right foot. And we're gonna spin our chest forward back into reading pose. And so just relax your belly here. Notice if you're carrying any tension in your legs. See if you can just let all of that go. And take a big inhale. And you may notice that this inhale is not as deep as your other inhales. And that's because you're in spinal extension and flexion, and your diaphragm in this position is not able to move as freely as it is when you're upright. And so this is where we get really good at inhaling. And in this style, we say we're inhale-centric. So we don't care what the breath sounds like, or we're not trying to do anything special here. We're just trying to take the biggest inhales possible. And if you, once you begin to realize how many times a day you're actually not inhaling, it's astonishing. And so that's why in this class we want to get really focused on our breath and our taking big voluminous inhales. So we're going to do that here because it's much more challenging. So we're strengthening all those muscles. So we're going to exhale out together and then inhale for 6. And then when you get to the top of your inhale, that may be at second 4, I want you to just hold your throat open for these last 2 inhales so you can feel the work in your inhalation muscles. And then you can let it out like a sigh. If you want, you can walk your hands further to the right for a deeper stretch. And we'll continue again for a few more minutes. When you get to the top of your inhale, you may even shake from the effort, and that's the work that we want to do today. Last deep inhale together. You're gonna place your palms where your elbow tips are and look over that right shoulder at your back foot. Maybe you can wave your toes, say hello to yourself. Get a nice stretch on the left side, waist, the abdominals, nice back bend here. We're gonna flip our hands around, tick-tock the knees, and then we'll repeat on the other side. So this time your left leg is gonna fall over to the left. So my left quad is parallel with the long edge of the mat. Our hands are gonna come forward, so you're in kind of a pinwheel position. And then you're gonna relax with your upper body facing the ground or facing the front of the mat. You want to relax the belly, relax any tension in your lower legs that don't need to be engaged right now. And then we'll begin to breathe together. So inhale for 6. And let it out like a sigh. You can walk the hands over to the left for deeper back bend. And a few more breaths here on your own. And you can play with that number. 6 is just arbitrary. So maybe if you've got some really strong, powerful inhalation muscles, you can increase that number. But we want to feel the work being done. We want you to shake a little bit from the effort. That's where the strengthening happens. I'm going to Take the hands where the elbows used to be, look back behind you at your back foot over that left shoulder. Nice lengthening in the right side body across the abdomen. Good. Reach the hands around. Tick-tock the knees. Awesome. Perfect. That is our class for today, guys. I hope you enjoy this beginner kind of series